Ooh, that looks tasty. Welcome, folks. Today the Hungry Gamer is back with another video. I don't know. I haven't done one of these before. But it's the rare occasion that I have multiple games that kind of fill the same niche that I think are so well matched in many ways that I feel like a video kind of talking about both of them in comparison with each other is probably valuable for a lot of dungeon crawl nerds out there. And for this, I'm doing a comparison of League of Dungeoneers and Dungeon Universalis because they're both out there right now. League of Dungeoneers is just right now finally delivering. Universalis just had another Kickstarter or GameFound, whatever, and is in late pledges. And League of Dungeoneers is going to have another Kickstarter sometime relatively soon. And the third one is Dungeon Crusade. Now, Dungeon Crusade is one that I haven't played, and I will admit I was kind of frightened off by it because of the complexity and the crunch and the sprawlingness of it. However, the second printing apparently, I'm told, is much more streamlined, the rulebook's been refined, and so on, and I actually do have a copy of that coming, and I'll talk about that whenever it does arrive. And so I'm also looking forward to that, and maybe I'll do a third one of these when that happens. Now, with that being said, I don't want to say that this is going to be me picking which one is better, because I don't know. Because see, here's the thing, I'm keeping both of them, and I really thought when League of Dungeoneers arrived that I was going to be making a choice, which one of these am I going to keep? Because, again, same niche, but I've decided I'm keeping both of them. So I'm going to go and I'm going to break down what it is about each one that I like, and in some cases say more than the others, but what I like versus the other one, back and forth, and hopefully that will give you an idea of which one you are more interested in getting. Hopefully you don't wind up like me and be like, both is the answer, because they take up a lot of space and they're a lot of time and they're real commitments. Both of these are long games where it's a lot of crunch going on. Every gameplay session is a lot. It's 2-3 hours every game session, so there's a lot going on. But first thing is, I'm going to start with the story. And so League of Dungeoneers, what I like about that one is they're short little bites. You'll do 4 quests, and that's the end of that little arc. And there's lots of kind of one-off drop-ins that you can just do and just kind of drop in, do a thing. It's not epic. You're not saving the world type thing. You're just stopping like a small crime. It's like the monster of the week type thing is what it feels like. And every now and then you have a little bit of like a 3-episode arc, but then you're done. Whereas Dungeon Universalis has some big sprawling campaigns. It does have a couple shorter ones, but it has a more epic feel. And so, which one's better? I don't know. In general, I tend to lean a little bit more towards the idea of a shorter campaign so I can get it done. And the ability to do kind of one-offs is pretty good too. But I like them both. So again, so there you have kind of the difference of the story. Characters. Dungeon Universalis, what it has going for it is it has a ton of different character classes which have some decent differences to them. Not a ton of difference to them, just kind of the core of how they play, but some decent differences to them. A bunch of different races that you can pick and play, and those races give you different stats, different abilities, and so on. A ton of different skills, a ton of different spells. Crazy amounts of that. Crazy, crazy, crazy variety. While League of Dungeoneers has fewer classes, I think it's 6, and only 4 races that you can play right now. Far fewer. So I would say Dungeon Universalis certainly takes it on that. This is the sheer variety that you have. Now that said, I do feel like League of Dungeoneers, some of the differences you have as you're building your characters, I feel like they start to feel a little more different with the way they are built and let you grow them than a lot of the different classes you have in Dungeon Universalis are. It's not to say that they're the same, but some of the different fighters, they feel pretty much the same. Though they start to feel a little bit the same with slight differences as you build them. I do feel like the classes are more differentiated with League of Dungeoneers, though there's a lot fewer of them. And I do think for me, the actual crunchiness of the numbers that you're doing in League of Dungeoneers, I actually find to be a little bit more satisfying than I do with Dungeon Universalis. Combat. Not magic, just straight up combat. I think Dungeon Universalis, its combat system is great. Just 2 dice, add a couple numbers, roll against the armor, that works really well. It's quick, it's simple. I really, really like it. Though it does get a little bit of a knock because you're tracking a lot of stuff, because some of the weapons you have are going to take off a stat here or take off a stat there. And so it becomes a little bit of a game of how are you tracking all of it. I tend to now just kind of put my cards in a little sleeve and I just kind of write on them, and that makes it nice and easy. But that 2d6 system I think is very, very clean, very, very fun, and I do like that a lot. I also like the way the damage works. You're rolling a bunch of dice and trying to beat certain numbers. Like that a lot. While for League of Dungeoneers, what I think it has going for it that I think shines a little more than Dungeon Universalis is just kind of the rest of the crunch around it. You see, because Dungeon Universalis has a rule, and I swear it feels like there is a rule for literally everything. League of Dungeoneers has a lot of rules, a lot of modifiers, a lot of things, but it's a little bit more streamlined to me, and I find that just a little bit more manageable, unless you're just going to ignore some of the rules in Dungeon Universalis, because again, there's so many rules in there. Though, to be fair, a lot of rules allows you to do a lot of things in the rules for it, and there's lots of rules in both of them, but there's just more crunch in Dungeon Universalis, which gives a slight edge to League of Dungeoneers for me. That brings me to the rule books. Both the rule books need help. Just both of them. I think the biggest thing for me on both of them, and I believe I said this in both my videos, is they just need a better index. Dungeon Universalis has an index that just has everything in there to the point where it's useless, because it's like, magic. Like every time the word magic is said, it shows up somewhere. So that's not useful, while League of Dungeoneers has like 9 things in its index. So you have that. That's just a total wash for me. Next, talking about the magic. Again, Dungeon Universalis wins out for sheer variety. Different schools of magic that you can get, and how you can get new schools and add on to what you have and learn new spells and different things that the spells do and the powers of the spells and what classes get the spells. Insane amount of variety, very, very satisfying. While League of Dungeoneers, it just feels clean and simple. You have your mana score, you're draining your mana, rolling the die, trying to get the number to pass. There's a couple different modifiers you can get. It feels faster and cleaner. Part of that, again, I think is because there is less variety. So again, what are you looking for? Something clean and fast? Or you want some serious weight as you try to figure out what it is that you want to do, which spells do you have out, having this certain spell out is going to reduce this magic thing here, having the spell out is going to reduce the chance that an arrow is going to... You want more crunch and variety, or do you want something that's a little bit more streamlined? Next, both of these games feature a very fun, cool kind of overland travel system, which you're moving from quest to quest, and they're pretty much the same system. But for me, and this is one of the few times in here that I'm just straight up giving it to one over the other. I think Dungeon Universalis wins out there because there's more variety, there's more different places that you can go. The variety in the Overland encounters feels like there's a little bit more to it, and they happen more often. And so to me, that makes it a little bit more interesting than the Overland travel in League of Dungeoneers, though I like both of them. I think they're both just delightful. Next one is art. Now, for the most part, this is Dungeon Universalis. Clearly, because it has it. Done. There's almost no art in League of Dungeoneers. The cards are all text. Very simple. Use your imagination. So Dungeon Universalis, clearly for the art. Though, I will say, I much prefer the League of Dungeoneers standees. For the different monster art and stuff that they have, I liked them better. I just wasn't interested in using the Dungeon Universalis ones. They just didn't work for me. I don't know. I found them kind of boring, and I just sent them off and I used little tokens instead. But the ones from League of Dungeoneers, I like. I'm still using, so I think those are an improvement over Dungeon Universalis, though I wouldn't say that they are fantastic. Next thing is the Mercenary System. Both games allow you to kind of hire mercenaries to come work with you and help you and so on. And hands down, this goes to League of Dungeoneers. The Mercenaries little expansion you can get has named mercenaries, special abilities, and backstories that you can hire. You can hire a dog, or you don't hire a dog, you can get dogs to come with you. It's just far more interesting than the mercenaries. Even though there's a huge variety of mercenaries in Dungeon Universalis, hands down, they're more interesting, they're more entertaining, they're more fun to me in League of Dungeoneers. Next thing to think about is the enemy variety. How much variety are you going to find as you're kind of traveling and adventuring? And for me, both of them are pretty darn high. There are more types of enemies in Dungeon Universalis, but there are a lot in League of Dungeoneers as well. To me, it seems like you got to play both of these things so many times to start feeling like, oh, I've seen all these things before. So both of them very, very high. The next part is the dungeon exploration. And I'm a little bit of two minds on this in Dungeon Universalis. it is very much, you can see what it is you're supposed to lay out. You kind of lay it out, fill up your table, or you can use the app and it'll kind of reveal things one at a time and kind of tell you what you found. And okay, that's cool, that's great. And that works. And the app does keep it a little bit more interesting as you're kind of discovering things as you go. But for me, I really am high on the League of Dungeoneers system, which my understanding is basically the Warhammer Quest system. But the way that you're opening each room and you can put the doors wherever you want so it fits your table a little bit better. Not that it always fits the table, it does start to sprawl. And the way that you never know what's going to be where. And there is literally no way to kind of cheat it and figure it out because the way the cards come out and there's different cards each time. I think that just is fantastic. But again, what are you looking for? Do you want something that's set and established and it's going to tell you what is in each room? Or do you want that kind of roguelite randomness that you're getting in League of Dungeoneers? Though I will give the slight edge to League of Dungeoneers just because of the way you can interact with the tiles. Both of them have features you can find, they're special features. In League of Dungeoneers, for the most part, they are on the tile. Whatever is on the tile, that's what you can interact with. Every once in a while, the story will say, and add this thing to this particular tile, or it's special, it's not just what the base rules are. I think that's just very, very clean moving forward. I think it's just very, very clean, interesting, fun. The next thing is the way the AIs work. And Dungeon Universalis can also be played one versus many, but it does seem like even through their own surveys that they're doing that the bulk of people are playing this fully co-op using the AI. And I think that the AI that you get in Dungeon Universalis is more interesting. It does more things. It's more dangerous in many ways. You never know really what's going to pop out. If they're going to do a spell or whatever it is, or exactly how all the enemies are going to interact, because there's more different kind of charts and tables that you can do to track how the AI is going to react in Dungeon Universalis than there is in League of Dungeoneers. That said, the League of Dungeoneers AI is more streamlined and faster. And that is simply because there's less options that it has. So let's say, what are you looking for in any given moment? Do you want kind of the crunch, the variety, or are you looking for something that's a little more streamlined, a little quicker? Though again, neither of these games is quick. Let me be clear. The other, and I'm kind of going to end on my other, just things that don't really fit normal categories that are just particular standouts. There's two things that stand out to me for League of Dungeoneers that I really enjoy. One is the alchemy system. You're able to make potions, brew potions. Every time you travel, you're able to stop and gather materials. You're able to gather materials from the things that you defeat. And just, I like it. And I was overwhelmed by it, but Michael's put out a kind of a simplified version as well, which I think just cleans it up, makes it very quick, very easy to be able to feel like you're brewing potions, you're making things that you're going to need as you go through the game. I think that works very, very well. The other thing that stands out for me for League of Dungeoneers is the armor system. It's armor as damage reduction, but if you actually get hurt, when you get hit somewhere, and you have to actually, am I hitting the head, the legs, the arms, the chest, then your armor starts to take damage. And I find that just to be very thematic. It's not hard to manage. It's not hard to figure out, but it's just very thematic, very interesting, and that works really, really well, I think, when you're playing through the game. And it gives you kind of another little added level of danger of like, oh my gosh, is my breastplate kind of break? What am I going to do then? And then you have to kind of manage your money to kind of fix that as you go through the game. And then the last thing I want to call out for Dungeon Universalis that's of particular note is the crazy big variety of weaponry and armor and magic weapons and potions and all of that stuff that you can get. It is way higher than what you get in League of Dungeoneers, almost to the point to where it's overwhelming. So again, that's a question of what are you looking for? Are you looking to be almost overwhelmed with choice, or are you looking for something that's a little more simplified? Magic weapons are much more simplified in League of Dungeoneers than they are in Dungeon Universalis, so it's just what exactly do you want in the game that you're playing. So there you have it, folks. That is kind of my comparison of these two games. Again, I'm not picking which one is better because it is so subjective to what are you looking for. I do hope that this is going to help you kind of figure out a little bit which direction you should go if you're not sure. And as I said, at least for now, both of them are staying on my shelf. One of them's right over there, the other one's right down here. And I'm very excited to get expansions for both of them because I really, really enjoy it. They're both very fun. They're both big commitments. And we'll see if either or both of them wind up in my revised top 10 dungeon crawl list that I'm going to be doing this summer after a couple more crawlers come in. Because I already know that probably half that list is going to change. So excited about, maybe even more than half the list. I don't know. I haven't actually counted it up yet. But so looking forward to that. I really hope that this helps you kind of make up your mind which way you want to go, which one you want to pursue, maybe neither of them. And eventually when Dungeon Crusade gets here, I'll cover that one too, and we'll see if I have to do another video of this. So, as always, if you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, share, maybe become a channel member. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.